Tonight on CTV News, pipeline showdown.
It really sets the stage for an industrial transformation.
We will never consent to allowing oil tankers in our coastal waters.
Ottawa and Alberta agree to a pathway for a potential oil pipeline. What could happen to BC's oil tanker ban?
We've endured over 100 flooding incidents there that have caused great disruption and damage to my business.
The downward spiral of the Granville Street. Businesses and the mayor demand an immediate shutdown of SROs in the struggling neighborhood. And he's charged with first-degree murder in the brutal killing of his wife, Bailey McCourt. Now, James Plover is sentenced in a separate assault.
This is CTV News with me, Jung Lee.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The battle lines have been drawn for days, but today the Prime Minister and the Alberta Premier made it official. They signed a deal paving the way for a pipeline to be built to BC's north coast. But there is a long list of major hurdles before it becomes reality, something First Nations are adamant will never happen. CTV's Rob Buffum has the story.
The Prime Minister and Alberta's Premier were all smiles, giddy as they inked a deal paving the way for a new pipeline from Alberta to BC's coast.
This agreement includes a clear path to the construction of an over 1 million barrel per day Indigenous co-owned bitumen pipeline to Asian markets.
One province over, backstopped by much of his caucus, Premier Eby repeated his months-long pushback to the plan.
We need to make sure that this project doesn't become an energy vampire with all of the variables that have yet to be fulfilled. No proponent, no route, no money, no First Nation support.
If all goes smoothly, construction could start as soon as 2029. But there's several sticking points, most notably,
If there's not a private sector proponent, there won't be a pipeline.
there are various other conditions in the Memorandum of Understanding that, if met, carve out exemptions to the tanker ban. They include Indigenous co-ownership, consultation, and support. Coastal First Nations maintain it will oppose the plan with every tool it has, including possible court challenges.
We will never allow oil tankers in our coastal waters because an oil spill could destroy our way of life.
You know, the bribes that are being brought forward by Carney and Smith et al. Are meaningless.
Carney says the deal also calls for BC's support and significant economic benefits for the province. Premier Eby, excluded from the negotiations, unleashed his frustration that it puts other energy plans in jeopardy and distracted from projects such as a Saskatchewan-owned potash plant that went to Washington State, not BC.
Really pissed me off that we lost the Nutrien deal because I think that was entirely avoidable.
Although a poll released Thursday shows a majority of British Columbians support a new pipeline, the Premier maintains First Nation support is key.
I will always defend BC's interests, and defending BC's interests includes defending the oil tanker ban.
The deal, one that's pitting neighboring provinces against each other, calls for an application to the major province's office by Canada Day.
And Rob joins us live from Victoria. And Rob, this deal is already having political fallout in Ottawa.
Well, that's right, Jung. We saw today, hours after the announcement, of former Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault, who's in cabinet as a culture minister, resigned his cabinet post in protest to this. He's been very outspoken in his opposition to this pipeline. That may be the first of other such moves. I know locally here, the BC Greens, I asked them today what they would do if the NDP ultimately acquiesced and somehow this deal did go ahead or get agreed to, and they said it would be very difficult for them to keep their agreement with the NDP if there was an oil pipeline that went ahead under their watch. So expect a lot more ramifications as this thing moves forward. Jung.
Yep, we'll be watching for any more political fallout. Thank you, Rob. One person is dead after a small plane crash near Nanaimo early this morning. A Cessna 172 aircraft went down around 3 a.m. in a rural area about 8 kilometers from the Nanaimo airport. The plane belonged to Sealand Flight School in Campbell River, and the pilot was on a private flight when it crashed. A company spokesperson says they are devastated and their hearts go out to the family. Nanaimo RCMP say the crash site left a large field of debris.
So they reported that a plane was flying very low overhead and then a crash. So it took the police about an hour to find the wreckage location. They did, and there was one person deceased, and right now it is a coroner's investigation.
Police remain at the scene as the investigation continues. Members of the South Asian community, along with police, gathered in Vancouver to discuss the ongoing extortion threats plaguing parts of the Lower Mainland. Most of the violence has been in Surrey, and Vancouver police want to make sure the attacks don't spread.
We've heard from residents, from businesses, that they're concerned. And even though we haven't had an extortion case reported yet in Vancouver, it's affecting people's sense of safety and well-being.
VPD says the goal of last night's forum was to inform people of the different types of extortion, how to possibly prevent it, and what you should do if you receive a threatening call or message. Several high-ranking officers and members of the business community were in attendance. VPD stresses if the threats start to arise, they are prepared to respond, increase resources, and work with the community to stop it. Another Surrey home was hit by gunfire today during an early morning shooting.
At this time, it appears that the incident is not linked to any of the ongoing series of extortions in Surrey.
Officers responded to a complaint of shots fired in the 11200 block of 153 A Street just after 3 a.m. No injuries were reported. Police say they are working to determine whether the shooting is linked to other recent investigations. It comes just days after a woman was injured in a similar incident at a home on Surrey's 101B Avenue. Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim is demanding the province do more to push supportive housing away from the Granville Entertainment District. Sim joined business owners and Vancouver police to call on clear timelines to close 3 SROs that they say have led to significant damage to the area. As CTV's Yasmin Gandam reports, advocates are concerned for people and wondering where they should be going.
Fires, floods, and open drug use frequently force businesses in this block of the Granville Strip to close.
We've had objects thrown out of the windows with no disregard for staff or customers. And since 2020, we've endured over 100 flooding incidents there that have caused great disruption and damage to my business.
It's now prompting the mayor and business owners to call for the immediate closure of 3 supportive housing buildings between Nelson and Davie.
So how can the province admit that these buildings are contributing to disorder and public safety issues and then fail to follow through on their commitments?
Sim wants the province to close the SROs, which are run by BC Housing.
Unless there is a clear plan of where people are supposed to go if these SROs are closed down, what is the solution?
Some advocates say they're left with more questions than answers to what comes next.
All we're doing is moving a problem elsewhere and not really doing the investment that we know that we need.
The Lugat, an SRO that used to be the Howard Johnson Hotel, will shut its doors in June. Now the mayor wants the remaining 2 to shut down and for more involuntary care beds in Vancouver to address substance use issues.
Not a single new bed to serve the city with the most severe mental health cases in the entire province.
Let's look at voluntary treatment before we head down a significant path of involuntary treatment for substance use disorder, because the outcomes when it's voluntary are much stronger.
The Hospitality Vancouver Association says since being converted to SROs, there's been an 800% increase in emergency calls to the police and fire departments.
Before we welcome the world to Vancouver for FIFA, We are here to provide an update on the state of Granville Street.
In a statement to CTV News, the province agrees the conditions are unacceptable, and it's working to relocate tenants who would have to resort to sleeping on the street. The province did not confirm if or when the closure would happen. Yasmin Gandam, CTV News, Vancouver.
Shoppers at Metrotown were left with burning eyes today after someone set off bear spray inside the busy mall. CTV's Craig Krause is following this in the Breaking News Center. Craig, what are we learning?
Well, Mi Jung, this wasn't the Christmas shopping experience customers were expecting today. Police say it all started with a robbery at the Nike store, the suspect fleeing the scene. So as the suspect was taking off, police say he was spraying bear spray as he ran away. The RCMP says several employees and customers were hit, and firefighters and paramedics provided medical assistance at the scene there. We've been told officers and mall security conducted extensive patrols in the area, but were unable to find a suspect. The investigation is now ongoing. Mi Jung?
Thanks for this update, Craig. A Kelowna man accused in a deadly hammer attack on his estranged wife was in court today. James Plover was sentenced in a separate domestic violence case for assault and threats. CTV's Michelle Bernaro has more.
I loved her more than anything in this world. An emotional Karen Fair is talking about her daughter, Bailey McCourt. She was killed last summer. James Plover is charged with first-degree murder in her death. But today, Fair was at the Kelowna courtroom as Plover was sentenced for another crime where the identity of the victims is under a publication ban.
He's not getting out, so that is good. He will stay in there.
Plover was sentenced to 1 year jail on a choking charge and 6 months on each of the 3 counts of threats to be served at the same time. McCourt's mom says she's frustrated Plover will get credit for the time already served awaiting trial on the assault charge. He will end up serving about 5 months.
I cannot get over that they credit them time. You know, I got a real problem with them crediting them time. Why are we doing that?
Plover was convicted of the assault offenses July 4th and let out on bail. Just hours later, it's alleged he beat McCourt to death with a hammer in a Kelowna parking lot in broad daylight.
He never should have been allowed out in the first place. We need to get trackers on these guys.
Plover is back in court on the murder charge January 13th. Michelle Bernaro, CTV News, Vancouver.
The jury in the Kane Carter murder trial is now sequestered. After receiving final instructions from the judge today, jurors have begun their deliberations. Carter's accused of killing 15-year-old Alfred Wong, an innocent bystander caught in the crossfire of an alleged gang shooting in Vancouver's Mount Pleasant neighborhood in January 2018. 23-year-old Kevin Whiteside, who police say was the intended target, was also killed. Carter stood trial on 2 second-degree murder charges last year, but the case ended in a mistrial. The family of an Abbotsford man who was murdered in broad daylight last month was invited to the legislature today while they continue to call for action.
The family has said it plainly many times, and I quote, "We do not need more promises. We need strong, immediate, enforceable action. The government is failing in its most basic duty to keep its citizens safe."
68-year-old Darshan Sashi was shot while sitting in his truck outside of his family's home on Ridgeview Drive in Abbotsford. The homicide team believes the shooting was targeted and are still searching for the suspect. The province says it's working with the federal government to combat targeted shootings. Police in Chilliwack are asking for the public's help finding a missing teen. 15-year-old Jack Terpstra was last seen early Wednesday night outside Evergreen Hall in Chilliwack. Jack is 5'4" and approximately 150 pounds with short brown hair and blue-green eyes. He doesn't have a cell phone or a bus pass, and it's believed he may have been walking towards downtown Chilliwack. The RCMP have arrested more people at a logging blockade on southern Vancouver Island. 7 people have now been arrested, 1 for criminal mischief and 6 for breaching a court-ordered injunction. The injunction prohibits people from obstructing the area in the Walbrand Valley, about an hour-and-a-half drive southwest of Lake Cowichan. Blockaders reoccupied a camp after enforcement began on Tuesday. As of early this afternoon, one of the blockaders tells us police are not there today. And you're looking at a live shot of the city twinkling beneath the clouds. Plenty of clouds there. And at least we have a little bit of light that we can see.
Yes.
A pretty gray, drizzly day.
Yes, but the good news is things are drying up right now. We are seeing mostly cloudy skies out there, and it'll clear up for tomorrow. But right now across the lower mainland, we are looking at 9 degrees at the harbor, 7 in Burnaby, 8 degrees in Pitt Meadows. You're looking at 7 degrees in Chilliwack as well, and 8 in Abbotsford and White Rock. So as we head through the overnight, things will slowly clear out of the way, dropping down to 3 degrees. And tomorrow, a fabulous Friday ahead. We'll see mostly sunny skies and a high of 8.
CTV Weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises, customizing dream vacations with unbelievable value. Call or learn more at expediacruises.ca.
And it's looking pretty dry for the weekend as well. I've got those details coming up.
Yeah, we haven't seen the mountains today, so maybe tomorrow we'll see the snow-covered mountains.
Exactly. It'll be beautiful.
All right, thanks, Anne. First responders on the front lines of BC's public health emergency are warning about a rise in overdose calls. They say is due to a new contaminant that has entered the drug supply. And as CTV's Isabella Zaffarisi reports, the drug is so strong the antidote to revive people isn't working as well.
A few hours into a shift at this fire hall in Vancouver's downtown east side, and first responders have already been called to numerous overdoses.
The increase in obviously the total amount is unprecedented. We've never seen this number of them before. This 54 in a day is nothing like past events at all.
The outreach team at Union Gospel Mission, only a few blocks away, is experiencing the same thing.
3 overdoses every 3 days, sometimes multiple overdoses a day. It fluctuates, but it's been very hectic.
Health authorities say while overdoses are declining nationally, the recent uptick is blamed on a number of factors, including a contaminant called medetomidine.
It's very toxic, and it's used basically to sedate people while they have all kinds of tubes and stuff in them, getting, real intense procedures in the emergency department. So you can imagine if somebody takes some of that drug on the street, it's going to make them very sedated.
We're seeing it pop up at higher concentrations in the unregulated drug supply. So for many people, this might be the first time they've heard of medetomidine. It's a potent non-opioid veterinary sedative, and it's approximately 200 times more potent than xylazine.
Mixed with opioids, it can complicate how first responders reverse overdoses with naloxone.
Nothing will happen, or we might have somebody just stay down for a very long time. So it's very deadly, very dangerous.
Before, historically, people would kind of come up from an overdose kind of in a predictable way. Here, it seems like they're staying down for longer, kind of needing more resources, more time.
While the latest data from the BC Coroner's Service shows overdose deaths are declining, those on the front line say they want British Columbians to remember the human toll.
These are people that we spend every day with. They're people that have, families and stories and hopes and dreams. And so I just really want people to be able to say, okay, this is not some distant crisis. It isn't just a statistic. These are actual humans, and they matter immensely.
Isabella Zaffarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
7 machetes and a grenade launcher were among a stockpile of weapons recently uncovered at a downtown east side rooming house. An assault investigation led police to the building on East Cordova Street near Carroll, where they discovered a large cache of weapons and drugs. Police say parts of the building had been fortified with counter-surveillance measures to avoid detection from law enforcement. 4 people were initially taken into custody, but no charges have yet been laid. The staggering death toll from the inferno that ripped through several Hong Kong high-rise towers. Who police have arrested? Also ahead.
Having that facility sitting empty is a waste.
Growing demand for long-term care. When beds are desperately needed, why are 2 facilities on the Sunshine Coast sitting empty? When CTV News at 6 continues. Stay with us.
Ellen, stop making that offensive noise. And shut the window. That bird's giving me a headache.
Yes, sir. Quiet! You're giving the master an headache.
I'm so sorry you're not feeling well this morning, George.
Who said I'm not feeling well? I'm fit as a fiddle. I just don't understand why everyone's so confoundedly cheerful.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Oh, lovely. Thank you, my darling. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Stop!
Good morning, Father.
Good morning.
Mary Poppins taught us the most wonderful word. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
What on earth are you talking about? Super, or whatever the infernal thing is.
It's something to say when you don't know what to say.
Yes, well, I always know what to say. Go on, hurry along, please.
Yes, Father. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Winifred, will you be good enough to explain this unseemly hullabaloo?
I don't think there's anything to explain, do you? It's obvious that you're out of sorts this morning. The children just came in to make you feel better.
I should like to make one thing quite clear once and for all. I am not out of sorts. I am in a perfectly equable mood. I do not require being made to feel better.
And you're always saying that you wanted a cheerful and pleasant household.
Winifred, I should like to make a slight differentiation between the word cheerful and just plain giddy irresponsibility.
Excuse me, dear. Post, everyone, please!
No objection to anyone being cheerful or pleasant. But I do expect a certain decorum. I can tell you one thing, Winifred. I don't propose standing idly by and letting that woman Mary Poppins undermine the discipline in... It's something odd, I may say, extremely odd, about the behavior of this household since that woman arrived. And I want you to know that I've noticed it.
Yes, dear.
One thing more.
Yes, dear?
I suggest you have this piano repaired. When I sit down to an instrument, I like to have it in tune.
But, George, you don't play.
Madam, that is entirely beside the point.
Now, let me see. First of all, we must go to the piano tuners, and then we go to Mrs. Corrie's shop for some gingerbread. Gingerbread. And then we go to the fishmonger's, I think, for a nice Dover sole and a pint of prawns. Michael, stop stravaging along behind.
Ahoy there! Ahoy! Good day to you.
Good morning, Admiral.
Michael, what kind of adventure are we out of fun today? Going to fight the Hottentots? Eat for very pleasure?
We're going to buy some fish.
Very good. Proceed at flank speed.
Aye, aye, sir.
Let's put our backs into it, lad. More spit and polish. That's what's wanted around here.
It's Andrew.
Not so fast, please. I can't understand a word you're saying. Again? Oh, the poor man. Bless you. Well, yes, of course, there's not a moment to lose. I'll go straight away. And thank you very much.
What did he say?
He said you're welcome.
What else did he say? I don't think he said anything.
You know best, as usual.
I thought we were going to buy some fish.
There's been a change of plan. Come along, please.
Discover the breakthrough innovation from use
today, including more than $15 million for seaweed seeding technology. The project's being led by Richmond company Canadian Pacific Coast Seaweeds, with more than a dozen partners, including BC-based Canadian Kelp Resources. There's also a $3.46 million being invested into the use of robotics for offshore inspections. How Ukrainian Canadians are feeling about talks to broker peace between Russia and Ukraine, also ahead.
I am determined to ensure that the animal who perpetrated this atrocity pays the steepest possible price.
One of the National Guard members shot in Washington, D.C. yesterday has died. The suspect, a man living in Bellingham. That's ahead. The death toll has risen after a massive apartment fire in Hong Kong. At least 94 people have died, with many others still missing. Officials say the fire is now under control, with rescue operations continuing for those still unaccounted for. Investigators have arrested 3 construction company executives on suspicion of manslaughter and negligence for allegedly using unsafe materials that may have intensified the deadly fire. At least 69 people have been killed and thousands displaced after a tropical cyclone unleashed floods in Indonesia. On the island of Sumatra, rescue efforts were hampered by the powerful floodwaters, which caused power outages and damaged roads and bridges. Earlier this week, floods and heavy rain in Thailand and Malaysia left dozens of people dead. Meteorologists say the interaction of an active typhoon and an unusual cyclone could be causing the extreme weather. In Sri Lanka, more than 40 people are reported dead and many more missing as heavy rains pelt the country. Flooding has washed out streets, creating what officials are calling the worst weather disaster in years. Many roads are closed and passenger trains have been stopped in regions where landslides have been triggered. Talks are heating up on a possible peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. But as CTV's Alex Karpa reports, some Ukrainians in Canada are worried about the impact this could have on their home country.
Christina Miroshnik came to Canada in 2022. She had been living in Sumy in northeastern Ukraine, but Russian attacks near her home forced her to flee, leaving everything she knew behind.
We have parents-in-law and a brother-in-law back there, and a lot of friends.
Miroshnik continues to keep in contact with her family daily, and like them, she is now watching closely as world leaders try to broker a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia.
It doesn't really make any sense to us, and we don't really trust those guarantees.
Oleg Klitschak shares those same worries. His parents and oldest daughter still live in Ternopil, and a recent strike that killed over 30 people was just 150 meters away from his home.
Words fail me talking about that.
Klitschak wants to see peace in his home country, but for any of this to work, he says Ukraine must be at the table.
Every negotiations, every since on future plan for stop war in Ukraine must be with Ukraine.
Pressure is building, and the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress says that Ukraine is being put in a difficult situation.
We could lose American support, and the worrisome bit is that Europe isn't ready to fill in the gap that America, that American withdrawal from the process would entail.
As for Miroshnik, she worries about what the future of Ukraine looks like.
We do not like sometimes they promise a lot and do nothing, or they promise one thing and then they do another thing.
With all the unknowns and the continued attacks, those that I spoke to say that with Canadian and European support, there is still hope that peace can be achieved. Alex Karpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
To the U.S. now, where the Trump administration is promising a crackdown on Afghan immigrants. It comes in the wake of the fatal Washington, D.C. shootings, where the suspect was identified as an Afghan asylum seeker who lives just south of us in Bellingham. Officials say Ramanallah Lakanwal, a 29-year-old living in Bellingham with his wife and 5 children, he drove across the country to D.C. He was shot, but not before shooting 2 National Guard members, one of which U.S. President Donald Trump says has now succumbed to her injuries. 20-year-old Sarah Beckstrom died earlier today, while 24-year-old Andrew Wolf remains in hospital fighting for his life. Lakanwal has been charged with multiple counts of intent to kill, but the president says he will pursue the death penalty if necessary.
As President of the United States, I am determined to ensure that the animal who perpetrated this atrocity pays the steepest possible price.
U.S. Immigration has announced the immigration requests of Afghan nationals would be stopped indefinitely pending a review of security vetting. Shoppers are out in force on the hunt for Black Friday deals, how promotions could end up costing you more. Also ahead, it's not even December, but parts of southwestern Ontario are being hammered with another snowstorm. That's ahead on CTV News at 6. 4 people from Toronto are facing charges after a series of sledgehammer-wielding jewelry store robberies. This security video shows an incident from Guelph, west of downtown Toronto. Back in May, 2 suspects smashed their way into a jewelry store and made off with tens of thousands of dollars in goods. They allegedly hit another store that same night and another in August. 3 men were arrested Tuesday, and police are still looking for a woman. In Saskatchewan, RCMP are investigating after a young dog was stolen during a break-in at the local SPCA.
That's not the way you go about it. If you're a good owner, you contact the shelter or the rescue that you want the animal from.
This is Coda. The 1-year-old shepherd cross was taken from the facility after the intruder reportedly cut through the fence. Officials say the suspect may have even crawled through a doggy door to get inside. The SPCA is worried for Coda's safety and hopes she'll be returned safely. A happy update to tell you about now. An owl found injured on Vancouver Island has recovered and has been released back into the wild. George, the barred owl, is officially back in the wild after suffering from an inflamed spine. He was found back in September by a fire captain after he hit her car mirror. She took the bird to the North Island Wildlife Recovery Centre, where it received months of dedicated daily care. Well, it may seem cold and wet here, but parts of Ontario are bracing for much worse as yet another powerful winter storm moves in. Parts of southwestern Ontario are already seeing some accumulation from snow squalls whipping through the area. Parts of the Greater Toronto area are under a special weather statement for lake effect snow covering that region. Some areas northwest of Toronto could see upwards of 60 centimeters of snow. And thankfully, all our snow is up on the mountains.
Exactly. That's what we're enjoying with the rain here. But the good news for the Ontario region, that's seeing all the snow. After tomorrow, another snowfall, and then it clears up just in time for the weekend on Saturday. For us, it's going to clear up for tomorrow to finish off the work week, all thanks to this ridge of high pressure offshore, the rain, the frontal system that we saw today moving its way east, and it's going to bring us clear conditions. It's also going to bring us warmer conditions as well as that ridge of high pressure moves its way in, bringing double digits for Vancouver Island, and we'll see temperatures a couple of degrees above seasonal for us. And this is what it looks like on our weather tracker right now. Still seeing a few scattered showers for the northeast corners of the Fraser Valley. It does clear up quite nicely for your early morning commute. It stays that way through the afternoon as well. It's not until late in the afternoon, early evening hours that the clouds return, and we'll see overcast skies as we head into Saturday. For the North Island, you're looking at mostly cloudy skies for Port Hardy, 7 degrees, mostly sunny skies for the central interior. Your provincial forecast at the bottom of your screen. You'll see lots of sunshine as well for Campbell River and Comox, both seeing highs to 7, and that's what you can expect for the South Island. From Tofino right down to Victoria, there's the double-digit highs I mentioned. Southern Gulf Islands, Victoria, Tofino. You're looking at 11 degrees, Port Alberni and Nanaimo. You'll see temperatures between 6 and 9. Sunny skies for the Sunshine Coast with a high of 7. Warm up the Sea to Sky Highway for Squamish at 9. Cooler for Whistler. You'll see a high of 2 degrees. And for us across the Lower Mainland, mostly sunny skies with temperatures between 8 and 9 degrees. It does cloud over on Saturday with a slight chance of a shower or two through the afternoon hours. 7 degrees, drying up for Sunday with some sunny breaks in there. On Monday, we'll start off cloudy. Showers return in the afternoon. They don't last very long because it clears up on Tuesday. Mix of sun and cloud and 8 degrees. Heading into Wednesday, overcast conditions once again. Enjoy these dry days because the rain returns on Thursday with a high of 8. CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So a pretty good stretch ahead as we say hello to December on Monday.
Yeah, so sunshine tomorrow for all those people out shopping. Downtown's been busy.
It has been. This is why I'm done and I don't have to shop anymore.
You're completely done. Congratulations.
You're welcome.
I'm getting there.
Enjoy walking the streets and heading to the shops.
There is also online shopping,
That's
too.
true.
All right, thanks,
You're
Ann.
welcome.
Driving to the airport could be slow going tomorrow. Expect congestion as shoppers make their way to Black Friday sales at the nearby outlet mall. And
the month before Black Friday, they might jack up the prices more.
On the hunt for bargains, how much of a deal are you really getting and how all the promotional strategies could end up costing you more? That's ahead. Taking a look at today's markets, the Canadian dollar made slight gains, trading for 71 cents to the American dollar. Oil was up 70 cents, closing the day at $58.65 a barrel. Gold gained $25 on the day. The TSX and the Dow Jones both finished the day higher, up 279 points and 314 points, respectively. This week marks 3 years since the release of ChatGPT. The chatbot was launched on November 30th, 2022. The tool is considered a game changer, ushering in a new period of artificial intelligence. Research suggests roughly 20% of Canadians have used ChatGPT. Some precious pieces of Canadian folk rock history were snapped up yesterday at an auction of Gordon Lightfoot's personal items. The biggest prize was this guitar, which sold for $380,000. Made in 1947, Lightfoot used it often on albums near the end of his career. Another unique find was this real and vintage tiger rug, which a bidder pounced on for $3,600. Many items were up for bid, including costumes, set lists, and gold records. Some of the money raised will go to the Arilla Museum of Art and History in Ontario, which is home to a permanent exhibit on the musician. Millions of people are expected to do some holiday shopping over the next few days as Black Friday sales kick off. But experts are warning to beware of discount dangers. As ABC's Alex Stone reports, deceiving deals could end up actually costing you more.
Everywhere you look, deals, discounts, sales, it's hard to pass up a bargain.
Personally, this happens to me a lot at places like TJ Maxx or a thrift store.
But the advertised savings can end up tricking us to spend more.
This is not an accident.
Well, you may be saving money on items you've been eyeing for a while. Stores using marketing tactics drive us to buy things we never wanted in the first place.
There's a limited time deal, or there's limited amount of products, or a limited amount of people who can take advantage of a deal, for example, and brands will capitalize on this.
Those price cuts are not always a real markdown from the product's market value.
A month before Black Friday, they might jack up the prices more so that they can slash them and you feel like you're getting a great deal.
Online retailers offer free shipping, but only if you spend a certain amount of money.
If you weren't going to spend $5 on shipping, what's the point in spending another $30 to buy something else? You're not saving any money.
With high inflation, it's good to be mindful of these promotion strategies. If you're browsing the stores, remember to stick to your shopping list.
If you think about grocery shopping, you really should always come in with a list of things you want and don't come hungry. The same thing with Black Friday deals or any kind of shopping. Know what you want, or at least know what your budget is and how much you're willing to spend.
And before adding to your cart, take a moment and ask yourself, would I buy this without the discount?
Do I genuinely want this, or is this just a marketing ploy that's working on me?
This mindset can help you now and when you're shopping all year round. Alex Stone, ABC News.
If you plan on driving to the airport tomorrow, you'll want to give yourself extra time. YVR is expecting heavy traffic congestion due to Black Friday sales at the nearby MacArthur Glen Designer Outlet. Traffic control officers will be directing vehicles, and shopping hours have been extended to disperse the crowds. But both travelers and shoppers are encouraged to take the Canada Line instead of driving. It's Thanksgiving south of the border. We'll give you a look at the 99th annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade that got underway in the Big Apple. Plus, the unicycle man, Adam, finds out the connection between Billy Joel and this multitasking student, coming up on the Sawatsky Sign-Off. Right now, here's a preview of your morning Vancouver.
A memorandum signed by Ottawa and Alberta could give way to a new pipeline. Friday on Your Morning Vancouver, how BC intends to fight it and what it could mean for local jobs. Plus, a new housing outlook offers fresh clues on where prices may be headed in 2026. We'll see you in the morning.
The Vancouver Golden Eyes will look to regroup after suffering their first loss in franchise history.
Back to the captain, walks in, shoots and scores!
The expansion Golden Eyes fell 5-1 last night at the hands of the Ottawa Charge. The team was without superstar Sarah Nurse, who picked up an injury in the team's opening game at Pacific Coliseum. Vancouver's 3-game road trip will continue Saturday against the New York Sirens. The Toronto Blue Jays have bolstered their starting pitching after making a big splash in free agency. They have signed Dylan Cease to a 7-year, $210 million deal. Cease was one of the most sought-after pitchers in all of free agency and will fit into an already strong rotation alongside Shane Bieber and Trey Yesavage. New York City was in full celebration mode this morning as the 99th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade filled the streets. This year's annual kickoff to the holiday season featured 34 balloons, 28 floats, and 11 marching bands from across the country, with Tom Turkey leading the way. And, of course, it concluded with an appearance by the big man himself as Santa Claus and his sleigh made his way through the city. Okay, while New York City has the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, Detroit has its own festive tradition that turns some heads today. The Big Head Corps is a collection of massive paper-mache heads that have been a part of the parade since its founding in 1924. The latest edition is Michigan native and Detroit Tiger star Kirk Gibson. The parade company boasts a collection of more than 300 big heads, including Tom Selleck, Aretha Franklin, and Henry Ford.
I don't want to see that parade over the Macy's parade.
I know, but it's so much work doing paper mache. Remember, we had to do it in school, and all the glue. It's messy.
It was, not fun.
They probably have a more, I don't know.
They have a factory that makes these big heads.
There's no kids doing it. All right. Okay, well, as Thanksgiving turkeys were being cooked across the U.S. today, a team of experts were standing by to help with any last-minute emergencies. Okay, this is the Butterball Hotline, which is open for business today, ready with answers to questions like, how do I thaw my turkey? How do I use a meat thermometer? The company says more than 50 experts will take more than 100,000 calls during the holiday season.
Cutting it close if you're calling to ask about thawing your turkey today.
It's not going to happen. You're going to have to order in. It's funny how some people just have no clue and just go into it. But the hotline idea, I like it. It's a good one. Idea. Okay, Craig, what's coming up tonight at 11:30?
Well, Mijung, we have a few stories that we're working on. It's going to be a busy night. Our Ben Nesbitt is following the developments in the Kane Carter murder trial. And tonight he will have more from court, where the man accused of killing 15-year-old innocent bystander Alfred Wong is now facing a jury deliberation. Ben will have the latest on that. Also, we will have the latest on the deadly plane crash on Vancouver Island this morning. All of this and more tonight at 11:30. Mijung?
Okay, thank you, Craig. Finally, Adam finds out how an SFU student cycling on one wheel learned multiple ways to spread joy on tonight's Sawatsky Sign-Off.
Before he learned how to juggle things in the air, Arlo Watts had to develop the patience to keep picking them up off the ground.
I like to say that juggling just means dropping things over and over again.
But after months of practice and perseverance, Arlo got it.
Once you feel like you have a rhythm, then it's really exciting, and immediately you start to think of what the next thing is.
That turned out to be the unicycle, which Arlo taught himself how to ride after moving away to university.
I find that in computer science, I often don't have to leave the house if I don't want to. I don't have to go outside.
But when you're a unicyclist, you do. So Arlo started riding around to maintain his physical fitness before adding juggling to the exercise to challenge himself mentally.
Because normally when you're riding the unicycle, you use your arms for balance. But when you're juggling, suddenly your hands have to go all over the place to catch whatever it is that you're juggling.
It's hard. So sometimes Arlo takes it easy by grabbing his Rubik's Cube, donning a clown nose just for fun, and riding his unicycle, all the while solving that puzzle, which he can consistently do in less than a minute.
I get a lot of satisfaction from working hard on something and then succeeding at it.
While finding personal satisfaction is important, Harlow has learned, so is inspiring positivity in others.
What I really want is to get people to see something they've never seen before.
So whenever it seems like we're all in the mood for a melody, this unicycle man tries to get us feeling all right.
Take a break from being stressed for a moment. Take a minute to smile and think about all of the weird and wonderful things that are possible.
Adam Swatsky, CTV News, Burnaby.
Wow.
Of all those skills, the only one I can do is putting that little nose on. Right?
You're almost there.
I just have to do those 4 other things. Pretty talented guy.
Yeah, good for him. All right, let's take a look at our scenic snapshot tonight. Christmas lights are up at Lafarge Lake. Thanks, David, for sending this beauty in. And we want to see your scenic snapshot as well. So email us at scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca.
Yeah, we were just talking about Lafarge Lake. I've never seen the lights at Lafarge
It's
Lake.
beautiful.
You can take the SkyTrain too.
Easy peasy.
And it's free, right? All right, thanks for joining us. Craig's back at 11:30.